Welcome to part 4 of your final exam review. We're going to take a look at number 26. Our goal for number 26, negative 16 and 9/10 equals W plus 4 and 1/10. Our goal here is to isolate and solve for W. So what we want to do is isolate our variable. So the easiest way to do that is undo this positive 4 and 1/10, which would be to subtract 4 and 1/10. So those of you worrying about your integers, remember subtracting is the same as adding the opposite. So since both of these are negatives, add them, keep the sign negative. So I get an answer of negative 21 equals W. Number 27, you can do this problem one of two ways. You can find the common denominator, or you can first add the 2/3 to both sides, because remember, we want to isolate the variable. So the yellow piece is what we want to get rid of. So that's how I'm going to do this problem, actually. I'm going to add 2/3. I'm going to add 2/3. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to take negative 3 and 1/2, which is the solution, and I'm going to add to it 2/3. I just need some space. Between 2 and 3, my common denominator is 6. Okay, 3 times what is 6? Times 2, so 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times what is 6? 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. Well, I have a negative here and I have a positive here, and I want to subtract. So I can't do 3 minus 4. Think of this as $3.30, and think of this as 40 cents for a second. The $3.30 is more. So just because you're subtracting 40 cents doesn't mean 40 cents is larger. You just need to borrow. So I'm going to go to the 3 and borrow 1. So I'm going to make it a negative 2. And remember, to write 1 as a fraction, I can write it as 2 over 2, 3 over 3, 5 over 5, or in this case, 6 over 6. So what's 3 over 3 plus 6 over 6? And I hope you're saying 9 over 6. So I have negative 2 and 9 over 6 plus 4 over 6. So what's 9 minus 4? I hope you're saying 5. And what's negative 2 plus nothing? Negative 2. So the final answer is negative 2 and 5 over 6. 28, we're going to write a verbal sentence and then solve. The magic word in this sentence is less than. So remember what you learned about less than. The number that comes second gets written first, and the number that comes first gets written second. So 7 less than a number. So that means n minus 7 is, that means equals, negative 9. So my goal, I want to get n all by itself. To do that, I'm going to add 7 to both sides. Negative 9 plus 7, n equals negative 2. Number 29, I want to isolate t. So the operation currently is multiplication. The inverse of multiplying is dividing. So divide both sides by negative 7. That means t is equal to positive 10, because a negative divide negative is positive. Number 30, yay, more decimals. We're going to divide both sides by negative 9/10. That will isolate x. These cancel, leaving me with x. All right, if we make our division, 8 and 1/10 divided by 9/10. Remember, the divisor here on the outside needs to be a whole number. So I move this decimal one place to the right. So that means I move the dividend one place to the right. So I really have 81 divided by 9, and that gives me an answer of x equals 9. Number 32, my goal is to isolate C. Okay, the easiest way to isolate a variable where the coefficient is a fraction is to multiply further by the reciprocal, just like all those division problems we did with fractions. So I'm going to multiply by negative 2 over 3. Oops, let me fix that. Negative 3 over 2. I think I said that wrong. We're going to use the reciprocal of negative 3 over 2. So I'm going to come over here and multiply this by negative 3 over 2. This cancels this. This cancels this. Oh, look, C is all by itself. Okay? And then negative 3 times 4 is 12. Negative over 2. And 12 over 2 reduces to 6. And there's my answer to C. Now, some of you may like to solve this problem another way. And here is an alternate way to solve. A lot of you would multiply both sides by 3, or in this case, negative 3 if you want, just so you can get rid of the denominators, in this case, the negative, and negative 3. So that gives you 12 is equal to 2c, negative 12. Then you would divide both sides by 2, and 6 is equal to c. Either way, you get the same solution. You decide what method you like best. 32, again, we want to isolate g. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 5 over 2. Okay, I'm going to take this side and multiply it by negative 5 over 2. I'm using the reciprocal. So these cancel out, leaving me with g equals negative 15 over 2. And remember, 2 goes into 15, negative 7 whole times, 1 out of 2 left over. For 33, a number divided by 6. So n divided by negative 6 equals is negative 8. So in order to isolate my variable, I'm going to times negative 6 to both sides, because the opposite of divide is times. So times negative 6. Negative 8 times negative 6, n equals 48, positive. Okay, a number, so let's call the number x, multiplied by 2/3. So 2/3 times x is equal to negative 4 over 7. So I'm going to use the reciprocal, 3 over 2. The reciprocal of 2 over 3 is 3 over 2. The goal is to isolate the variable. So if I multiply by the reciprocal, they cross-reduce. So I times this side by 3 over 2. These 3's reduce, these 2's reduce, leaving me with 1x equals negative 12 over 14, which equals negative 6 over 7. Number 35 is a two-step equation. I see multiplication in here and I see addition. So we're going to work backwards. We're first going to subtract 5. So 41 minus 5. So we have 9v equals 36. To undo multiplication, we divide both sides by 9. So 36 divide 9, v equals 4. 36 is another two-step equation. So we'll start by working backwards. We'll combine the two integers. 3b equals, this is negative, this is negative. Add, keep the same, negative 27. Divide both sides by 3. B is equal to 9 or negative 9. Hopefully you're saying negative because signs are different. 37. We have again a two-step equation. Some of you like to rewrite the problem with the answer over to the right. So you can write it as negative 2x minus 1 equals 17. Let's work backwards by adding 1 to both sides. So negative 2x is equal to 18. We divide both sides by 2 because the opposite of times is divide. X is equal to 9. Number 38, just like the last few problems we've done, we are going to isolate the variable. This is a two-step equation. So we're going to start by adding 9.97 to both sides. Okay, now notice that the number right above here is negative, so my signs are different. So I'm going to take 44 and 74 hundredths. I'm going to subtract 9.97 and keep my answer negative. So when I do that, I get 34 points and 77 hundredths. I divide by 5.7. Okay, and I get an answer of y equals negative 6 1/10. All right, we're going to take a pause here because I don't want to run out of time, and we'll continue in the next video.